Now to make this synth, I'm using two different instances of Massive. One is a detuned saw pad, and the other one is a centered saw bass. So let's take a look at the pad first. And let's just go ahead right to the amp envelope. I have a medium decay, instant attack, and level is up most of the way, and a short release. And on this I'm using two oscillators of saw waves. One is pitched up by an octave, and the amp knob is brought down to about 2 o'clock. And we're going to route both of these to filter 1. But first, let's take a look at the noise oscillator. I am using some bright noise here with the amp about halfway. And this is just to give it a little bit of texture and a tiny bit of brightness. But we're going to taper this off a little bit by using the low pass. So let's listen to the before and after of that. So we're just getting rid of the very, very high end there. We have the low pass 4 with the cutoff all the way up, so this is really only affecting the noise, and the resonance is all the way down. Okay, next let's head to the voicing tab. We're going to be using 10 voices for this sound to give it a nice wide stereo effect. We'll be turning on pan position and pitch cutoff. Pitch cutoff's maximum setting is at 0.5, and we have it almost halfway. And pan position is set all the way to the left. Now this is going to account for most of the character of the sound, but to accentuate the detuning a little bit, let's go over to the Osc tab, and we're going to be using a little bit of vibrato here. So let's bring the depth up, leave the rate as is. Okay, and while we're on the Osc tab, make sure to set your pitch bend setting to down -12 semitones so that you can do the pitch bending inside of the MIDI clip. All right, next in FX1, we're going to be using a classic tube to distort it just a little bit. And then the EQ, we're just going to be bringing down the high shelf a little bit to tame the high end. All right, and that's going to do it for the first synth. Now let's take a look at that centered bass saw. In the amp envelope, we are using a somewhat short decay with 0 sustain and an instant attack. We have only one oscillator on this synth, and it's pitched down by 24 semitones, and we're using just the standard saw wave. All right, next we're going to be activating the modulation oscillator. We're going to have this pitched down by 24 semitones, and we're using a phase setting on the first oscillator, with the phase knob turned to about 11 o'clock. All right, and to make the sound a little bit bigger, let's change the voicing to 4 voices. And in the Osc tab, we're going to activate Restart via Gate. Okay, and that about does it for that synth as well. Next, we're going to be adding just a fair amount of reverb to each of these. And on the pad synth, I'm going to be cutting off everything below 250 Hertz. So let's listen to what they sound like together. All right, and lastly, just to accentuate the percussive nature of this sound, we are using this woodblock sound. It sounds a little bit like this. And all together. Alright, so I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.